What's going on, guys? Nick from the Average Biker Garage. Back here on the podcast feed with you again. Hope everyone had a good week last week. Was able to get out and put some miles on their bikes. But wasn't so good here weather-wise, so I was not able to. Quick update for you guys on the YouTube channel. I just want to say thank you again and again. The YouTube channel is slowly but steadily increasing in numbers. The videos that I'm posting here lately are just updates on the Honda Shadow bobber build I've been doing for the last year, and everyone seems like they're digging those videos, so that's good. I've got a couple more of those to upload and put out on a weekly basis, and I'm actually, the latest video that I dropped is on track to hit 100 views in 24 hours. Now that might not sound like a lot to you guys, but that is a lot to me. That's a lot harder to do than what you think. So I am greatly appreciative of everyone that's headed over to the YouTube channel and checked that out. And to everyone that's checked out the podcast too. The podcast numbers are doing great. I said slow but steady growth. That's what I like to see. So thank you guys. And if you haven't checked out the YouTube channel, go check it out. The links should be in the show notes of this. If I didn't put it there, check one of the other podcasts because it should be in there. Check out my Instagram too. That should be in the show notes. Slowly growing that too. So again, I'm just very humbled and flattered that people are listening, watching, and checking out my posts. So I greatly appreciate it. That being said, if you have a chance to rate and review this podcast wherever you get your podcast, I think we should be listed about everywhere now. I know we're on Apple and we're on Spotify and we're on Google, and I believe we're on iHeartRadio too. I don't know if there's some place that you guys like to listen to podcasts and you can't find us, let me know, and I'll see if we can't get listed there too. But ratings, reviews, it all helps so other people can find this show. So sharing, liking, rating, reviewing, all of that. You know, if you guys could help me out by doing that, that would be awesome. So, okay, for today's show, I was not able to line up a guest for today, which is actually okay because I've got a lot of other shit to talk about instead. So you all get to listen to me for the next hour. I'm going back to the YouTube channel that I mentioned. If you've been watching that, like I said, the videos that I'm putting up are based on this bobber build I'm doing, and I'm actually building 2 bobbers, choppers, and doing restoration on another bike. So that's what I'm going to be talking about today. I'm just kind of filling you guys in on the stuff I've got going on in my garage, and just little things that I'm doing. So, yeah, the first project I'm going to talk about is actually that. It's that 2006 Honda Shadow VLX 600 is what I'm building right now. And the story with that bike is actually pretty funny and interesting. I had originally bought that bike for my girlfriend as a starter bike, and I found it found it up in Michigan. And this guy, he wanted, I think he wanted like $1,800 for it. And we cruised up there and looked at the bike, and you could tell it just hadn't really been taken care of. And it looked like it had been sitting outside for a while. So I put a new battery in it, put some gas in it, and was able to get it to start right there. So I offered him $1,300 for it, and he said that he needed $14, so I gave him $14 for it. For a 2006 Honda Shadow with, I think it's got 17,000 miles on it. I didn't think that was too bad of a deal. And with it being a little rough, I figured, well, if she drops it in the driveway or, whiskey throttles it into a fence or something, it's not going to hurt the bike. So hopefully she doesn't get hurt, but it's not going to hurt the bike any. And so we got that for her and brought it back home, and she rode around on it for a little while. And I don't want to say she wasn't interested in it, but it sat. She was more comfortable being a passenger on my bike, but she still wanted to ride. Well, if you guys, are like me, which I'm assuming if you're listening to this, a lot of you are like me, when you get a new bike or a new car or anything like that, you immediately go down a rabbit hole of Google searches and Facebook posts of what can I do to this thing? And that's what started to happen after we got this bike for her, because I wanted to, just change the pipes and see what aftermarket things are out there for this bike to just, make it a little bit more, give it a little personality. And when I fell down into that rabbit hole, I found out that these bikes guys were taking, and they're super easy to hardtail. It's not, there's a little bit of welding required, but it's not like, doing a Sportster or anything like that where it's you have to cut the frame in half. And I guess you still have to cut the frame in half, but it's not like, you only need essentially 3 bars to hardtail this thing. And so I got to looking at that and all the options and how cool these bikes looked. And I was like, well, shit, that's neat. So I want to find one for myself that I can build for me. And then, me and her can kind of have matching bikes that I wouldn't take mine on any distance farther than, into town and putting around. I definitely wouldn't take it on the highway, which I'll get to that here in a bit. But so I started looking for another bike to buy, and I ended up finding a 98 VLX 600. And this one I gave $1,600 for it. Had 30,000 miles on it, but it was immaculate. It was just in great shape. It looked great. You could tell it had been stored in a garage and just really well taken care of. So when we got that home, I started looking at them, and I decided that I was going to steal her original bike and give her the new bike because it was nicer. I would have felt bad cutting that one up. So I took her 2006 Honda Shadow, and that is the current bobber project, or one of the current bobber projects I have in the garage. That's the one, the black one that's posted on my Instagram, and the videos on YouTube are of. So that first thing I did with that was just strip it down completely, just to the bare frame, And like I said, they're super easy to hardtail. You just cut the back subframe off and then, cut. They're a mono shock type swing arm. So you pull that shock out and you put a strut in place of it, and that gives you your measurement. And then you cut a couple places and you shove your tubes in and plug weld them and weld around them, and bam, you've got a hardtailed Shadow. So I did that to this one last year and put some taller bars on it. Just made it looked pretty ratty there for a while, but I was cruising around on it and I liked it. It was fun. I was actually quite impressed with how well the hardtail rode. You hear about rigid frames and they jar you and whatnot, which, I mean, I have springs. I got a sprung seat, so I guess I technically have kind of a suspension. I'm not just riding right on the frame. Even that was more comfortable than I thought it would be. So, yeah, if you guys are thinking about hardtailing a bike, don't be afraid of losing your ride quality and all that, because you can make it up in the seats. I originally had 3-inch springs on that seat, and because I'm kind of fat, I said I was bottoming out on the heavy bumps, but I could have lost weight, but I decided I just would bump up my springs to 4-inch, and after I did that, I didn't have a problem with bottoming out, and it actually helped the ride. So after riding around on that one all summer of last year, when it came time to put it up, I wasn't really sure. I didn't really have any plans to tear it apart. But I ended up tearing it apart. I got sick of looking at it the way it was, and I bought one of those eBay tanks. If you guys are familiar with the Shadows, you know the tanks that I'm talking about. They're like a little peanut tank, but they have the right tunnel for the Shadows. The Shadows are a double backbone frame. Not like Sportsters where they're just a single backbone and your tunnel's real narrow. These have 2 backbones running down the frame, so your tank has to have a wider tunnel. They sell these tanks on eBay for like $160, and I ended up getting one of those for it, and got a rear fender. I didn't have a rear fender on it for the longest time. I got a rear fender from TJ Brutal, and decided I was gonna tear this bike down to the frame and make it fully what I wanted. So I started doing that, and I tore it down to the frame, welded up some shit that needed fixed and welded on it. And then I painted the frame, and I wanted to get it powder coated, and I started looking at powder coat equipment, and I ended up buying a cheap powder coat gun from Eastwood. And when I got that, I started powder coating just little parts. I started with a little toaster oven, just powder coating parts, and I ended up buying a big electric oven off Facebook Marketplace, and that way I was able to do bigger parts. I'd really like to build my own oven for bigger stuff, but I got the powder coat gun and started powder coating little stuff, speedo housing, foot pegs, the controls, just whatever I could fit in that little oven I powder coated. I took the rims down to a local shop here and had those powder coated red. So yeah, the theme of the bikes, just black, red, and white. Those three colors. But what else did I do with that thing? Strip the wiring out. I fucking hate wiring. That's still, I have to finish the wiring on the bike still. But I cut out a bunch of wiring. It eliminated turn signals and pretty much all the unnecessary stuff. Built a new headlight mounting bracket for it. I bought an LED headlight and I didn't like the way it mounted to the forks. The triple trees, I powder coated the triple trees. So, yeah, tore that bike completely out, and pretty much I've never torn a bike down and touched every single nut and bolt on it, but this one I did. I painted the motor too. Built custom exhaust. So that one is still on my list, and it's almost done. It just needs little final touch things buttoned up, and it's got to come off the lift here soon, because the other bike that I'm building is another Honda Shadow. It's actually the Honda Shadow that I had bought for my girlfriend, the really nice one that I didn't want to cut up. I bought it for her, but the James Hawk episode, the last episode, I talked about Garage Built Cycles Facebook page. On the page, it was back in December, this guy posted that he was looking for local builders in the Michigan area, and I replied to him, where at in Michigan, because I'm just 10-15 minutes away from the Michigan border here in lovely Angola, Indiana. So I was like, well, shit, if he's close enough, maybe I can build something. He was trying to start a build competition, and I got to talking with him and trying to get him on the podcast so the motherfucker can figure out how to use Skype. I don't think he's older than me, but he's technologically retarded and just can't figure out how to use Skype. Once he does, I'll have him on here to talk about this build competition. But anyway, I went ahead and signed up for this build competition, and I was looking for other bikes to buy to build for the competition, and I couldn't find anything. I was trying to wheel and deal with people, and they, if you guys have ever dealt with Facebook Marketplace, you know that it's a shit show. People had stuff that they thought was worth way more than what it was, and anyway, I wasn't able to find anything that came down nut cutting time where I had to have a bike to start building. So I stole my girlfriend's other bike, and I'm currently building it for the Wild Stallions build competition. I will post a link to that. Derek is the guy that started the competition, put the ad out on Facebook, and he's a really cool guy, and he's really trying to build this up and make it something. So I'll post the ad or the link to the Facebook group, the build competition's Facebook page, so y'all can go over there and check that out and see not only what I'm doing but what other people are doing too. Yeah, and that's also being covered by a magazine up in Michigan, Thunder Roads. If you guys, I guess it's kind of a local magazine. It's almost like a chain restaurant of magazines. They have one for Indiana and Illinois, and they were looking at starting one for Ohio, and the one from Michigan, the publisher of it, RJ, he's a really cool guy. I'd like to have him on here someday too. But yeah, they are covering the build every month of the magazine comes out. They I think they skipped a month or two, but for the most part, yeah, every month they cover the builders and what we're doing, and just showing the process that we're all going through. And you know, it's really neat to see how, like, I started with a complete bike that was running and riding, and I think Derek started with an engine. I'm pretty sure he built his own frame, and another guy started with just an engine. Then I can't remember. There's a custom shop up in Michigan that's doing it as a team too. So anyway, we all have a deadline. We got to have these bikes done by August, and they're debuting at the Owasso vintage bike show, I think is what it's called. I don't know. I'll post the link for that too. Gotta take notes of all these things that I'm posting. But yeah, so that's coming up soon. So the second bike that I stole from my girlfriend, I have to have it done by August in order to have it be able to show it at this competition. So what I'm doing with that bike is kind of the same thing that I did with the 2006. I'm hardtailing it. I'm not gonna powder coat nearly as much as what I did on the black bike. This one, the motor on it was immaculate. The chrome is great on it, so it's gonna be chrome and white and blue type bike. Not necessarily like the black one. I was going for more like a rat rod, hot rod type looking bike. And these VLX 600s are anything but hot rods. Like I'm 6'2", about 250, and the black one I dropped the sprocket down to a 38 tooth, and if it hits 70, it's not happy about it. It's just screaming. So these bikes aren't really hot rods. But yeah, this one's gonna be more of a show bike, just clean and shiny, and I'm planning on riding it I think it's like 2.5 hours. I can't take it on the highway, so I got to take back roads from northern Indiana to mid Michigan, and I think it's going to take like 2.5 hours to do on a hardtail sprung seat bike. But I think that'll be pretty cool though. So that's the other bike. Once I get done with this black bike, the other bike's going up on the lift, and it needs to happen like now, because I'm running out of time very, very quickly. But yeah, those are the two bobber shadow builds that I'm doing. Once I get the black bike off the lift and get the white bike on, I'll start making videos of that one, and that'll be posted on the YouTube too. So you can go over there and check those out. And you got any questions about shadows and whatnot, hit me up, and I'll see if I can help. But they're super easy bikes, affordable bikes to buy, and easy bikes to build. And they look really cool when you're done with them. The other bike that I have that's also in pieces in my garage, it looks like I just had motorcycles explode all over my garage. But it is a 1971 Harley Davidson FLH shovel head. And this was a friend of mine's stepdad's bike that I guess I shouldn't say I found. I found out that he had it. I didn't even know that he rode. But I was talking to her, and she had said something about his bike, and I was able to have her get me a picture of it, and bugged him to sell it, and he wouldn't sell it. And finally he pulled it out of the shed and said he was going to get it running and ride it himself. And well, then it just sat in his garage, and tried getting him to sell it, and he wanted too much money for it. We were just too far apart on price. And then last year, yeah, right before I signed up for that build, I ended up buying this one. And I thought about, just for a minute, I thought about using this for the build and cutting it apart and making it into, a hardtail shovel head chopper. But with it being my friend's stepdad's bike, and I really like this guy. I got a lot of respect for him, and he didn't want to sell the bike. I think he knew that nothing was gonna happen with it sitting in his garage, and he wanted to see something done with it. And he was probably sick of me asking him about it. But it was really hard for him to sell the bike, so I couldn't see myself cutting it up, and having him know that I cut his bike. I would have felt like a real dick if I'd done that. So I didn't use it for the competition, but it's in pieces, and once I get done with the shadow bobber for the competition, then that one's going on the lift, and that one's going to get tore down probably to the frame and redone. And I'd really like to find out if anyone out there knows how to find out like what the stock color was. I don't know if you can do a VIN check, and I've kind of looked into it, but I haven't been able to find any concrete answers on how to find out what the stock color is, because I want to restore this one back to what it looked like when it came off the showroom floor. So yeah, if anyone out there knows how to find out the stock color, hit me up and let me know, because it's painted this real purplish bluish color now, and it's gonna go back to stock. When I found that bike, he had it out in the shed. Like I said, he moved it into his garage, and it just sat there for a while until I got it. And this guy did woodworking, and I had no idea how, I don't want to say destructive, but how much sawdust could get into every little nook and cranny on a motor. Like with as much sawdust as I pulled out of this motor, just off this motor, I could have made a whole log. Like there was so much sawdust. So that's why it's gonna get tore down to the frame, so I can clean it all up and make it look nice, get all the sawdust and stuff off of it. And then it'll be working on restoring it, because I know nothing about shovel head motors, so it'll be a fun learning experience. So, well, those are the projects and things I've got going on. Just updates, what's going on in the garage, and again, I'm hoping to have YouTube videos on all these, so head on over to the YouTube channel and subscribe if you haven't yet, so that way you can keep keep track of these. And I'm sure that there'll be a time here again soon where I won't be able to find a guest and whatnot. So I'll be updating again on all my various projects I have going on. So, guys, if you're interested in being a guest, hit me up and let me know. Or if you have an idea of somebody that you think would want to be a guest or that you would like to hear from, I don't come out and say, fucking Jesse James or Paul Sr. from Orange County Choppers or anyone like that. Like, I would love to talk to them, but this is I don't ever see this podcast getting that big to where I'd be able to talk to them. So let's keep it realistic. But yeah, if you know of any small shop or just a guy building cool shit in his garage, or if that's you, and want to be a guest on the show and just talk to me about what you're doing, the only thing I ask is, have an Instagram page or a YouTube channel so I can check it out and you'll see what you're doing and make sure that, it'd be a good fit for the podcast. But I'm down to talk to anybody. So, yeah, I know I said I was going to make this an hour, and I'm sure you guys have been able to tell that I've had to cut and splice this thing like 20 times already because my damn dogs are going crazy. So I'm going to cut this short today. But like I said, if you guys, have a guest in mind or would like to be a guest on the show yourself, hit me up, email me, or hit me up on Instagram and whatnot, and get a hold of me, and we'll make it happen. So, thanks for listening today, guys. Remember to rate and review, and I guess it's not called subscribe to podcasts anymore. It's called follow. Follow my podcast, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and follow me on Instagram. If you can. Just do one of those now and then one next week and then the last one the week after that, and you'll be all caught up. So, again, I'm very, very humbled and grateful for the numbers that I'm getting on these shows and videos. So, thank you guys very much. I appreciate it. So, I will catch you guys next week.